Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So tonight we're going to be doing something totally different, and just for a bit of fun, it's going to be a test for everybody watching this particular video. And you can post the results of your test in the comments section. Now, when I make my analysis videos, my ears are very important in the process, being able to determine whether a vocal's been pitch corrected or auto-tuned, just with my first impressions of hearing a particular vocal or isolated vocal. And then there's AI, listening out for that instrumentation being of a lower quality and that warbling effect that you get with AI generated music. And I mean, what I want to do in tonight's video is test your hearing. Now, full disclosure, and I probably fall within the bracket of other musicians who, when they were younger, maybe didn't use earplugs when they should have used earplugs. And, I started gigging in my late teens and I didn't wear earplugs. So it means that you are damaging your ears. And I think even in my early 20s, I still didn't wear earplugs. So it means that my hearing would have been damaged to an extent. And I'd say maybe when I was 23 or 24, there's one particular show that I played and my ears, I wasn't wearing earplugs, my ears were ringing the next day. And, it was normal for them to ring at night, but then they usually recovered. But then I had the same tinnitus or tinnitus, depending on how you say it. But I had that the next day. And then it did die down. And it is something that I have got constantly at a particular level, but it's not something that gets in the way of what I do, or it's not at a volume where I can hear it all the time. It's when I then go to bed and, it's now dead silence, then I can hear the tinnitus that I've got. So, and even still, I don't really mind it. So I know that people that have it badly, it is effectively really high in the mix. So it means that when you're trying to listen out for something, you might not be able to hear it because of the tone that you're getting in your ears. If you don't know what it is, you might have watched a movie where an explosion goes off and then they play a simulation of a sound of tinnitus and somebody suffering with that. So yeah, it's very high-pitched kind of ringing in the ears. But yeah, luckily mine's at a very small level, and I put that down to then religiously from my early 20s onwards at every single show wearing earplugs, because I kind of got scared that day after the show that if it's like that all the time, I'm going to have a huge problem. So yeah, luckily it did die down. And I would suggest to everybody, like even going to watch gigs, if you are older or even if you're younger, if you're playing shows, just get some good earplugs, because you want to save your hearing as much as possible. So back into what we're going to be doing tonight. I'm going to be playing a test tone, and this is just going to be coming from Logic, and it's going to be a sine wave, and it's just going to be a tone that what we're going to do is take this through frequencies. So it means that the tone will ascend in pitch. And we're going to do this in a uniform way so that you can get an appreciation of what losing your hearing is. Because everybody, as they age, loses the top end frequencies of their hearing. The older you get, the less top end you can hear. So effectively, the less you can hear high notes, like really, really high notes, really high frequencies. So by taking us through the frequencies, at some point, and it's going to be really weird for you, but I find it interesting, at some point, it's going to be silence. But you'll have to take my word for it, there is still a sound that is exactly the same volume as everything you've heard up to that point. Relating this to dogs hearing a whistle, that is such a high note, we can't hear it. And this is what this test is going to show, like where you can hear, which frequency your hearing gets to until it then can't hear anything above that. So the test oscillator is up on screen, ready to go. And we're going to start at 500 hertz. Everybody should be hearing this because it's where, the human voice is and, notes in the middle of a keyboard. So we're just going to dial it up, and wherever it drops out, you can leave a comment. If you want to leave your age as well, you can do, so that we can get a bit of an idea of the different ages and where everybody's hearing drops out. And it might be good to just include your background, whether you are a musician, whether you've played lots of shows and been exposed to loud noises a lot, because we might see a trend that those people can't hear higher frequencies. That generally tends to be the case. So just to mention as well, as a disclaimer, I'm not an audiologist. This is just for a bit of fun. When talking about hearing loss or doing a hearing test, I think audiologists test from around 125 to 8,000 hertz, but we're going to be going all the way up to 20,000 hertz, which a small percentage of the population might be able to hear. So we'll go all the way up there, but it's just a bit of fun. So let's have a listen to this tone and we'll dial it up. I'm just going to butt in here because I would say, if I'm being totally honest, I would say 14,000 hertz is where I can't now distinguish where that tone is. Like there's a hint of something somewhere, but this is where I'm tapping out personally at 14,000 hertz. I'll continue it upwards just in case there are still some people in the game. And there we have it. We're now at 20,000 hertz. So if anyone can hear this, Congratulations. Yeah, you've got the ears of a dog. But the interesting thing is that now what I'm going to do is bring the frequency down, because there is still a sound. You can't hear it, but there is a sound that is exactly the same volume as everything else that we listen to. So when I bring this down, so now this sound was just happening, but we couldn't hear it. So anyway, that's the end of tonight's test, and I don't know, where you got to. So I know that maybe some people won't be as interested in this as me, but I just like the idea of a noise going on that you might be able to hear and other people can't hear, and vice versa. And it's something that I have referred to before, when you might have a radiator in your house here in the UK and it's whistling. There's a really high-pitched whistle because the air is just getting squeezed out of the radiator somewhere. And I've had this before where I can hear this. So I said, oh, where's that coming from? And of course my parents said, what are you on about? And I said, the whistling, is coming from somewhere. So anyway, I found the radiator that was doing it. I said, oh, it's coming from here. And they came straight up to the radiator and couldn't hear. So the frequency was higher than they could hear, but I could still hear it. So then I adjusted the, whatever you call it, the valve on the radiator, and then it went, and then it stopped. So then the whistling, thankfully for me, wasn't there anymore. So rest assured that if you can hear a high-pitched frequency going on somewhere and other people can't hear it and they all call you crazy, you can say, well, you can't hear it, but I can. And maybe point them towards this video to see where they can hear up to, and then you'll be able to understand why they can't hear it and why you can hear it. Anyway, that is the video for tonight. More of an experiment, one that includes everybody. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. But I will be doing analysis videos in the future using my ears that can hear up to 14,000 hertz. So anyway, if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys at the next one. Rock!